What is up, YouTube? I'm going to talk about two trades today, and then we're going to talk tomorrow about pretty much everything else that's going on at the trade deadline because I've tried recording this video multiple times, and every time I am about to ship it off into the next thing, there's another trade big deal going on. Apparently, the Knicks and Bulls are talking Levine. The Bulls want Derrick Rose. The Bucks want Derrick Rose. That's crazy. So we're only going to be talking about two things in particular today. We're going to be talking about the KD to the Suns trade, and we're going to be talking about the Westbrook three-team trade. And that's pretty much it. Also, the Knicks got Josh Hart for Cam Reddish in a first, which is good because the first is heavily protected and probably will just be 2 seconds. So good trade. Everybody wins that. All right. KD versus KD to the Suns. Okay. That was an insane trade. Dropped at 1 a.m. last night. I'm lying in bed and it's just Kevin Durant to the Suns. I was like, fuck. No. Kevin Durant to the Suns. The Nets have officially traded every single member of that big three that they formed years ago of the KD, Kyrie, Harden trio. And what can I say other than this was kind of low-key expected when we saw that trio? We were like, all right, either these guys are going to be the most overpowered trio ever, or it's going to fall apart terribly because of egos. And, well, yeah, it's kind of the second one. It was the second one. They only played 16 games together. Kyrie only played 140 games for the Nets out of 4 seasons. Kevin Durant, I think, played more games, and he was out for 2 years with injury. So, sus. Either way, the Nets did not win this trade. I don't think that is a surprise to literally anybody. The Suns are clearly the winners. They got Kevin Durant for Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-rounders. Now, that's actually a really, really good haul. That's solid. I mean, for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant, when, let's be real, he wasn't super enthusiastic about being on the Nets, especially after Kyrie is gone. So, I mean, 4 first-rounders that are unprotected and 2 really, really good young players, and Jay Crowder, who the Nets already have traded to the Bucks for 5 first-rounders in a 3-team deal that also included the Pacers. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's a lot of things, but that being said, the Nets still don't have their own first-round pick until 2029. So it's tough. It's never a good feeling when you lose one of the 5 to 7 best players in the league, and you're not going to win that trade pretty much no matter what. That being said, it certainly could have been worse. I think the Nets have a bevy of talent. We've got Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, Cam Johnson's talented, Mikal Bridges is talented. We've got Seth Curry, we've got Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie. Even if this team is, a flash in the pan and everybody gets traded, which I kind of doubt because you don't really want to tank, right? Because you don't own your own picks. It's a good roster, and if they end up with cap space, they can get someone in free agency. There's a lot of really good players there. That being said, the Suns are the winners of the trade. I think they're one of the 2 or 3 teams that I think are highly, highly likely to come out of the West. I think they might be the most likely. Devin Booker has shown that he's one of the best guards in the league on both ends. I think when he went out, the Suns went from a top 3 seed to not even in the playoffs, barely in the play-in. And that kind of showed that, hey, this is Devin Booker's team at this point. Chris Paul's not that guy anymore. He's not going to be able to do this. That being said, he's still the point guard. He can still give you passing. He can score a little bit. He's just not going to be able to give you, 38 minutes of, all NBA, all-star level play, which is fine. The guy was drafted in 2005. It's been a long, long time. But either way, the Suns now have a really strong starting 5. They couldn't trade Ayton in this deal because of Ben Simmons and his contract. But I mean, now that you've got those guys, like, hey, they've got there's more things to be done. I don't know if the Suns are going to continue to make trades in this trade deadline just because I don't know what assets they have left to move. But you've got KD, and hopefully that's enough. The other trade that I really wanted to talk about was the Jay Crowder, sorry, Jay Crowder trade. Massive. 5 second round picks. No, the trade that I'm talking about is the one with Russell Westbrook that the Lakers made. So they traded Russell Westbrook, a top 4 protected pick, for in a 3-teamer involving the Jazz and the Wolves. The Wolves got, I believe it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley in 3 seconds. 3 seconds. 2 from Utah. 1 is the worst of Washington and Memphis's second round pick. So, whatever. But they traded for a point guard who knows how to play for the Wolves, knows how to play with Rudy Gobert. He's not somebody who needs the ball in his hands all the time like D'Lo. Yes, he's not the defender he was in his younger years, but I mean, he's definitely someone who can contribute, and I think that's what the Wolves need. I think the Wolves had too many cooks in the kitchen. That was always kind of the problem with their roster. They had a lot of talent, and I was really excited for the Wolves until we realized that the Cat Rudy Gobert pairing, which sounds good, is not going to be Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, because those two guys can both play defense, and Cat is not a power forward defensive player. He's just not. So, but this should help on the offensive end at the very least. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is also extremely talented, and I think the Wolves definitely did a good job. The Jazz, meanwhile, got Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, and someone else. Damian Jones. There we go. Damian Jones, and they got the Lakers 2027 first, top 4 protected. I mean, they got the top 4 protected pick, so at the very least, they've got a very valuable Lakers asset. I'm not totally sold on them buying out Russell Westbrook, just because I don't think Russell Westbrook would want to accept the buyout. I think he'd rather play out the end of his contract on this Jazz team. I think if he joins this team with Lauri Markkanen, and let's be real, they've got some talent. If he joins this team and they maybe slip into the play-in/playoff, because they're still very close. Like, I don't know, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that they are a play-in team and then they end up in the playoffs. That and Russell Westbrook plays well. That could do a lot for his career. So I think Westbrook would be hesitant to accept a buyout and go play to be a backup on the Clippers, for example, right? Like, it just doesn't. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me looking at that. Now, whether or not the Jazz view it that way is another matter. I think the Jazz aren't going to be able to catch up in the tankathon with the Magic and the Pistons and the Rockets, and there's no way that they're going to catch those teams in losses. So why not lean into the Westbrook thing? You've already exceeded expectations in the season so far. Why not say, hey, so we're not going to get Wembanyama or Scoot. Let's just play it out this year. We can tank next year, or we can move something. We can do something else next year. We won't have Westbrook. That kind of thing. I don't really think it's worth ruining your whatever culture that you've built up with this core to tank for the 6th pick instead of the 9th pick. I don't see much value in that, personally. Could be wrong. Don't see much value in that. Either way, the Lakers, meanwhile, got 3 rotational players. They got Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and D'Angelo Russell. Now, D'Angelo Russell, compared to Russell Westbrook, less turnover prone, and is probably more likely, if he's cold, to pass the ball to the guy who's hot, while Westbrook is just like constantly in attack mode. Also, Westbrook is a far worse shooter. And were the Lakers lacking? They were lacking three things. They were lacking shooting, defense, and point guard play, right? And they got shooting, they got defense and Jared Vanderbilt, and they got point guard play with D'Lo. So they literally got everything they needed for what many would have considered a negative asset and one first round pick, which, in my opinion, this is far, far superior for them than going for the Kyrie trade, because Kyrie wants to be a Laker. So next year, all these are expiring contracts. So next year they have the cap to go get him if they want him and if he wants them, and it makes them better in the immediate for LeBron. And I mean, the Lakers aren't that far out of contending as far as like standings go. Like, I know that kind of sounds weird because they're the 13 seed, but they're only a few games back. They are 13 games back from the one seed, right? But they're only 4 games back from being in the playoffs. 4 games. That's it. That's all that separates them. That's a win streak. That is a very possible win streak. And I think with the addition of Jared Vanderbilt specifically, that's going to do wonders for this roster, because the Lakers have really lacked a point of attack defender since Caruso left. And that is a problem in such a guard driven league, especially in the West, where you've got Ja, you've got Luka, you've got Curry, you've got Booker, you've got so many good guards. CJ McCollum on the Pelicans, you've got Anthony Edwards, you've got Dame, there are so many, you've got Shea, like there's so many good point guards in the West. And or not necessarily point guard, De'Aaron Fox, just guards in the West, and lacking that point of attack defense really, really hurt them. Uh, Obviously, this all is meaningless. AD's injured, which, street clothes hopefully feels better. But it's just, this was a win-win-win trade. I think everybody came out of this trade with something that they wanted. I think I think the team that it's most likely to go wrong for is the Timberwolves, because they've been playing well lately, and it's in large part because D'Lo has been better as of late. Granted, that just means that they sold high on him, because I don't think he would have re-signed, because this, as much as he likes Cat and as much as they are friends, that team and that situation was not working for them. And I don't think he would have or should have re-signed there. So they got something out of it while they could have, and it gives them a new look at this roster, and hopefully it kicks some guys in the butt and helps everybody work together. Plus, Mike Conley is an excellent, excellent locker room guy, and he was teammate of the year like a bunch of times, I think. And that's just gonna be solid for them. And I think the Timberwolves really, really, really need that, especially for Anthony Edwards. I think overall this trade deadline has been absolutely bonkers. I'm like checking my phone in case like anything happens, but I'll talk about the rest of the trades that end up going down. I just really wanted to have those two like in the books, because I mean those are the some massive swings. I mean, the Mavericks as well, the Kyrie trade was, something for them. And fuck, you know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about the Kyrie trade too. I'll talk about that real quick. This is already 14 minutes. I only talked about 2 trades. All right, I'll make this one quick. Right now, the Mavs are in the 4 seed. They're 2 games back from the 3 seed. I believe if they end up sneaking past them or the Grizzlies, because they're 4 games back from the Grizzlies, Luka will end up being the MVP of the season. I think, although the Suns are right on their fucking ass. And I gotta be real here. I'm not really sold on this Kyrie trade for the Mavs. It seems like an attempt. This is my take. I think it was an attempt by Mark Cuban to get Luka to win this year's MVP. This was not like a contention deal. This was like a get Luka help so he can be high enough in the standings to win MVP. Because if he wins MVP in Dallas, it's going to be a lot easier to sell him on staying in Dallas than you know, saying like, hey, we didn't make any moves, like, you know, we just left you out there to dry. And I'm not really sold on Kyrie either wanting to be in Texas or like their play styles mesh. And I think that is going to be problematic for them in the next couple of years. And I think this is just going to piss away another year or two of Luka. And I'm not super happy for that the Mavs were the one on the receiving end of that trade. But that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Sorry that went super long. I'm going to have another video that's probably going to be even longer in the future. Sorry about the audio. I don't know what's wrong with it. I think I need to get a new cable again. And I'm trying to figure out a better audio setup. So thank you so much for watching. Filthy Casual out.